And we're back with TSPN.
That's right. We have the wonderful Gary Reinell with us today. We're going to talk. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Richard.
Gary, you got a lot of experience with historical things, being employed by the state for a long time in somewhat that capacity, right?
Yes, I worked as an archaeologist for the state for quite a number of years.
So this is right up your alley, moving in, 130-some-year-old building?
135-year-old Ione Depot. It's a building that's 30 feet, roughly 30 feet wide and 150 feet long. So it's quite a big building, and it was moved about 2,000 feet from where it has resided for 135 years to the City of Ione Old Corporation Yard on Mill Street, just off of West Marlette.
Doesn't seem like much of a task to move it, 2,000 yards, you said?
2,000 feet.
2,000 feet,
Yeah.
but 135-year-old building, how did they get it so structurally it would stay intact?
That's a good question.
I didn't get to watch all of it, but I could see when they were moving it, they had put steel beams underneath the building, and the building's in two levels. There's a warehouse portion that's one long timber frame building, and then attached on the end of it is a frame building that was the passenger portion of the depot. So it being several feet lower, they had beams under it and beams under the other part, and then they had the two sets of beams hooked together.
So they moved it all in one
It was
piece.
moved as one piece.
Wow.
And they had a truck with a winch on it that would pull it, and then they would stop and move the truck forward again, run the winch out, the cable out on the winch, pull it again, and once they had it out of the pit, sort of the pit where it originally sat, that took quite a while to get it out of that place, but once it was out, it moved pretty quickly down the 2,000 feet.
Yeah, it was just initial getting it up and out, huh?
Yes.
Needless to say, these guys were experts that moved the building.
This was Brandt House and Building Movers, and yes, they do quite a bit, and they did an excellent job. They are loaning the steel that's under the building to the City of Ione for a year, up to a year, without a cost.
Nice.
So they were very helpful in the move and their assistance for holding the building up for a year until we get a foundation under
They
it.
get that year so the city can raise, $500,000 to get the project done?
I have no idea what the total cost is, but it's quite a bit. The initial funding came from the Jackson Rancheria, and we've had some other sponsors that have helped, Lowe's and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. They had a grant from them. We're looking for other grants, donations from people that come by. The City of Ione, they're always willing to take your donation for the Ione Depot project. And the Amador County Historical Society, who I'm with, has been assisting in this move, and we also have some designated funds for that building project. So you can give to either the city or to the Amador County Historical Society.
So
we had a presentation by Ed Pattison, the city manager, at our Rotary meeting, and it is a huge amount of money that it'll take, but they want to build a whole train park, I guess, in conjunction with what's there right now, the tracks that are in place?
Yes, the building is put at the same orientation to the tracks because it is a historic building, and that will maintain its eligibility for various registers, which increases the options for grant money. Yes, they hope to have it as a railroad museum and also a community center kind of function, so it can be meetings or other functions that are happening in the community. It is a longer-term project than some of them that we take on, but it's a great old building, and it's when you go in it, it's just a great picture in time.
Any estimation on when the building will be to the point where people can go inside of it and look around? How far off do you think that would be?
When you raise enough money, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to depend on how quickly the money comes in. So if the more grants that can be garnered, the more donations, the quicker this will happen. But it's going to be a few years before things are really to the point where the building is down on a foundation and secure and fixed up enough that people can access the building.
Okay.
You're not going to get out of here without talking about this. Let's talk about what you found under the building when it was moved.
Since it's being considered as a railroad a museum is one of the options. We collected everything that would be related to the railroad and this building. Of course, because it was a freight depot, there were various animals that were helping haul freight, and this is a horseshoe from a draft horse, so
It's a-
pulling some heavy.
Huge.
Hold that up again. That's almost a, don't let your luck run out. That's almost a full-size horseshoe that you use for throwing shoes down in
Right.
contests.
Pretty
And
close.
Look at the
Yes.
size of that thing.
Yeah, that is
Right,
really
yeah.
big.
Oh,
And
gosh, those are
we
big
also,
horses.
yes, we also found a mule shoe, and if you're
Yeah.
familiar with those, they're very elongated by comparison. So
And
this
then-
was one of the more, it looks pretty sturdy, but it actually a bit delicate. But on here, impressed in this part of this lock, it says CPRR, so Central Pacific Railroad.
Wow. And that's an old padlock from the front.
Right.
Now, this next one is really delicate. It's in
Right.
pieces.
Here it is, Southern Pacific pencil, and it's a number 3 lead. So it's there was actually pretty good preservation under the building because it stays pretty dry. The glue on this, unfortunately, has gone, so it does fall apart quite easily. But these are some of the neat things that were found there. And
Yeah, that's exciting.
fun.
Yeah, I like that.
A couple of other things you said, they did find a coin or two under there and some other things.
yes, there was one coin found, a V nickel, not in best of shape, so they're not worth much, except for the history that it provides and the insight into what occurred at that building.
Put it under glass, it means something, right?
That's right.
Yes, we can interpret it and provide some message of how it related to the building and the activities that occurred
It gives
there.
people a vision of what life was like back when the origination of the building, occur and what was happening when the building was actually an active depot.
Right,
Yeah, people like that history.
right, it is.
Give us the 30-second short story of how the Historical Society got involved in this project.
Oh, 30 seconds. Well, early on, the city of Ione had a public meeting, and they were talking about possible functions for this building. They had a lease on it on a piece of UP property, which there were some restrictions about use of the building. So it became quickly apparent that the building could have a lot more function for the city if it was on the city's property. We became involved at that early on point, going to the meetings, and then when it appeared that things were not happening as quickly as might be necessary, one of our members started working with the Rancheria to see about some funding to help move the depot, and that funding came through for the city of Ione directly to the city, and so there's where we started getting involved, and we've been there through the whole thing. We've been there during work days and painting the depot so that all the lead paint was encapsulated, helping to be out there and record the movement of the building, and also the Pride of Ione Foundation was there recording that, and they're going to do a video of the move. So there's a number of groups and a lot of individuals that come out and help whenever there's a work day. So
Sure.
anybody that can come help, we're always happy to have them. Again, there's a work day or a planning day coming up, a meeting on Thursday the 12th at 6:30 at Clark's Corner.
Okay.
And that'll be for winterization and next steps and how we keep moving on with getting this building protected.
Wow, what a great job you're doing. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think a
That's
great part of the
wonderful.
story is, tell us the initial cost of purchasing the depot.
$1.
$1.
What a
Says-
deal.
Yeah.
There were two partners, right? The Historical Society?
Actually, the Ione Depot went directly to the city of Ione.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was sold from Southern Union Pacific, to the city of Ione for $1.
Wonderful. I'm just so glad that they're interested in preserving it. Such an important part of our history.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
It's a big part of Ione's history because now the speeders are the only avenue for using the tracks beyond, now that
Correct.
it's UP that shut the track down, right? Or was it Southern Pacific?
With the UP, I don't remember the history of who owned it during what period, but the tracks have been cut between Ione and the valley. But, so there's no vehicular access on the tracks to the depot area in that yard. However, the Amador Central is owned by the Amador County Historical Society and the Recreational Railroad Coalition Historical Society, two owners.
That was a 50-50 deal where you each
Right.
purchased it for, what, 50 cents?
50 cents each.
Another deal.
Yeah, Sierra Pacific Industries sold it to the two historical societies, and we do run motor car excursions on those. That's open to the public during certain months. That we're trying to get to where we can do more with the public and get them out on the rails.
And we're trying to go to a break, so.
We'll be back.
We'll talk about the planning
Okay.
session
That's right.
when we come back, but we're
Okay.
going to take our final break and be right back on TSPN.
Welcome back to the Acorn and Feather Sports Report. Let's toss it over to Rich.